What is going on, everybody? Voidlego here, back with a brand new episode of Higurashi When They Cry. Last time around, we had just started up Chapter 8, and we found a lot more about Takano's backstory. We found out that she was orphaned at a very young age, and she was put into an orphanage. That wasn't the most greatest orphanage, to say the least, and she tried to escape. We don't know what happened to her after that, but eventually, a old teacher of her father's called Hifumi Takano eventually adopted her, and that's why she is called Takano, because her quote unquote grandfather Hifumi isn't actually her grandfather. And basically, we saw like how she set up the Ire Institute and the whole research into the Himizawan syndrome in the first place, how she got the budget, how she got the support for it, and all of that. And it was last episode was filled with a lot of like Japanese politics and like World War II, which is I when I first came into this game, I was not expecting on getting like pretty much a history lesson on like post World War II like 80s Japan, which it's very interesting. It's very interesting and all that. And also, you guys had informed me that I missed because I don't have that much knowledge on World War II. Basically, it's implied that both Hifumi and the other old guy that was friends with him were part of the Twi- Taiwan Army. I'm mispronouncing that, I know. Uh, Taiwan Army or something like that, which means they were probably part of Unit 731, which in human history was one of the biggest um, human experimentation, like most famous and most, uh, basically they did a lot of experiments that were just horrible, absolutely horrible, that I didn't even catch on. So yeah, because I don't have that much World War II knowledge. But it's very the most interesting part is that Takano isn't crazy. You know, she still has that whole like I want to be a god type of thing, but it's not like it's like okay, it's kind of weird, but like she wants to honor her grandfather and all that. Like it was like in his will to like honor me and like make me become a god or something like that. So it's like okay, she wants to cement his like legacy as investigating into the Himzawan syndrome. So I'm wondering what is it that triggers her like insanity or some such, because it seems like well, we don't know exactly when those meetings took place. We don't know the exact time frame, but I'm going to say like probably like 1979 or something like that, because like when do we have the exact time frame of like when the E-Ray clinic like was set up in Imizawa? I guess we're going to probably find out in this chapter, but we don't know exact time. But it wasn't long. I think it said somewhere like 3 years or maybe four or something like that. So it must have been very recent to change Takano in such a way to become like a maniac and unleash the Hinazawan syndrome on like kind of the Japanese like public. So yeah, I'm ready to get into it. Also, we still have no tips, which is very interesting. Very interesting. Let's just get right into it.
ご紹介します。高野三佐です。三佐、こちらは入江京介先生です。
First meeting.
どうも、入江と申します。
Yuri seemed extremely nervous at our first meeting. He probably thought I was in charge of some suspicious organization.
萎縮しなくて結構ですわ。高野とお呼びください。
恐縮です。この度はお引き立ていただき深く感謝いたします。
どうぞ。 おかけになってください。
Damn, that's a fancy ass ashtray. A model lower middle class citizen was a good way to describe Kyosuke Yurai's demeanor. One could also say he was a stereotypical type of person to get conveniently discarded after those crafty elders used their seniority to constantly pick on him. He certainly doesn't seem as cunning as I am, but that doesn't mean he isn't ambitious. Like me, he's a young person who dreams of accomplishing something great and leaving his name upon generations to come. While he acts humble in person like this, his articles were actually progressive as well as aggressive. The gap between the two was quite intense.
平見沢症候群の資料を読ませていただきました。
いかがでしたか？
その非常に驚くことばかりでした。確かに今日の医学の暗部に踏み込みかねない内容ではありますが、未だ世界で誰も解明していない神秘という点で知的興奮を抑えきれません。
Hearing that made me chuckle. Yuri's more than interested in Himizawa's syndrome, which is good enough for me. She had been through the ringer with far too many people to reach this day, so her own intuition could tell. She would get along well with this man. Even if he isn't useful to me, he won't cause any problems. For both me and my sponsor, he's the best person possible for the job.
私こそ驚いております。入江先生ほどの博識かつ経験豊富な方が責任ある地位も仕事も与えられず、医局の片隅で飼い殺されているなど、これは医学界の重大な損失と言わざるを得ませんわ。
Yuri laughed. He probably thought I didn't know, but I'd received detailed documents on him, so I knew why he was exiled from the limelight despite his rare talent and achievements. Really? He displayed extraordinary skill working under a neurosurgery expert, and everyone expected a bright future from him. But he was kicked out due to an ethical controversy. Oh. Ethical. Yuri's pet theory was that the antisocial behavior of individuals could be explained by brain disorders. He believed that no one in this world was born a villain, and that they were all just poor patients in need of treatment. He proposed that they were all proper and normal when born, yet as they matured, psychogenesis and various exogenous factors caused brain disorders that made them into villains. Therefore, what those evil people need isn't punishment, it is treatment, and if the diseases are treated, they will become good citizens again. That manner of thinking actually fell in line with the Confucian belief of innate human goodness. Yeah. According to this theory, humans are born with a capacity for altruism towards their kind. It is only afterward that they learn and acquire cruelty. Yes, the whole nature versus nurture type of debate, and both I guess philosophy and like just medicine. Like, are people born evil, or are they, made into evil? The whole nurture versus, environment type of, debate that will never end. So, it's up to your belief of like, are people born evil, or are they made into evil? It's a very interesting debate. Yuri believed that acquisition was a result of brain disorders. Kill me. The human brain creates human thoughts. Therefore, if one becomes emotionally ill, that means their brain is ill. So if their brain gets treatment, they will recover emotionally too. That field was called psychosurgery. It's fallen out of practice in the current Heisei era, but the surgical techniques were applauded until mid-Showa, especially since it produced spectacular results on a chronic mental patient that was said to be incurable. The man who invented it even won a Nobel Prize. Really? That was how revolutionary it was. Humans think, that's why they become ill. Everyone knows that why those who overthink matters are prone to mental illness. When the organ that thinks and debates grows ill, humans deviate from social behavior. That part is called the frontal lobe. Yep. Put simply, psychosurgery is surgery performed to operate on the frontal lobe. This kind of surgery doesn't require removing the whole epicranium. A small hole... Are they talking about lobotomies? They are! This has to be lobotomy. Or, that's not how you say it. Pronounce it. Lobotomies? No. God damn it. But I think that's what they're describing here. A small hole is drilled through the cranium and a special scalpel is inserted down to cut it. It's not a major surgery, just a technique for quickly operating on the precious frontal lobe. Indeed, it was revolutionary in simplicity. All the severely ill mental patients miraculously recovered, so the technique spread around the world quickly. Those with obsedence and chronic mental illnesses, the severely ill trapped in deep, inescapable depression, all of those could be saved by this technique. Throughout history, humans have come up with many different religions and magic tricks to heal emotional injuries. So needless to say, the idea of being able to treat them with a surgical technique was truly revolutionary. Ire admired psychosurgery and pushed forward in the field of surgical techniques to treat human souls. However, from the modern human rights standpoint, severing a portion of the brain simply because someone is emotionally disturbed is absolutely out of the question. People gradually started to think differently and said that psychosurgery was inhumane. The frontal lobe controls how people think, but it is also the part that makes humans act human. There were quite a few cases where that cut caused drastic, irreversible changes in the patient. Yeah, lobotomies, famously turned a bunch of patients into pretty much vegetables. A baseless happiness born from lack of thought. A change in personality. A loss of interest in everything. Major mood swings due to a lack of control over one's emotions. Some even lost part of their memories. Of course, some didn't even survive the surgery. By the mid-1960s, use of psychosurgery declined. Also due to development of psychotropic medicine, the surgery was hardly performed anymore anyway. Yet some people still believed in the idea and continued to perform the surgery and gather clinical data. They wanted people to recognize the value of the technique once again. Some of these surgeries were performed without consent. One theory is that in Japan alone, there were thousands of people who woke up from general anesthesia, only to find part of their brain had been removed. Today, to perform such a surgery without a patient's consent is considered totally unethical, but it was different at the time. For one thing, the idea that doctors require prior patient consent was promulgated in the modern Heisei era. Therefore, people at the time didn't think it was that big of an issue. It was only later that people started to argue that it was inhumane. Finally, a decision was reached and the curtain closed with the rejection of psychosurgery. Later, the Japanese Society of Psychology and Neurology passed a resolution to end psychosurgery. After that, psychosurgery was banned throughout Japan and made a forbidden subject of Japanese medicine. Ire was a leading person in the field of psychosurgery. He continued to advocate its effectiveness and results. Therefore, he was treated as a war criminal who practiced inhumane medicine, and he was exiled from the public eye. However, that doesn't mean he changed his beliefs. He still believes that immoral behavior is caused by brain disorders, and the secret of treating them is in fact hidden in the brain. So the existence of Himizawa syndrome is caused by parasites living in the brain that control human emotions actually affirms his theory.
私ごときでよろしければこの度の話ぜひ引き受けさせていただきたいと思います
Of course, given Ire's history, he would never turn down this offer. Despite his mild-mannered appearance, Ire was possessed by a mighty ambition. There was no way he didn't desire a chance to complete research that would prove to himself to the medical society that ostracized him. I'm handing him that chance on a silver platter.
ありがとうございます。入江先生ならば きっと良いお返事をいただけると信じておりました。当方もあなたのような専門家を迎えとても助かります。
しかし私などが所長でいいのでしょうか。それは高野さんがやられた方がよろしいでしょう。私は単なる医者に過ぎません。人の上に立ったことなど。
ご安心ください。それにつきましては私も全面的にサポートいたします。トップは制服ではなく背広からというのが上の希望でもあります。お気に召しませんか、入江所長という呼び名は。
いえ。いや、しかし
Yuri laughed to hide his embarrassment.
現在ひなみ沢に研究施設を建設中です。表向きは診療所ということになっています。入江先生にご快諾をいただけましたので、入江診療所という名前にいたしましょう。
一国一城の主とはもったいない話です。
Don't worry, Yuri. We're not making you into a scapegoat or anything. We're just making you the public head.
あと身分を陸自で預かることになりますので、先生の席は陸自の医官という扱いになります。私の上司ですので2佐の階級になりますので、入江2佐という呼び名はいかがでしょう。
私は軍人じゃありません。ニサという呼び名は遠慮させていただきたいものです。所長だって恐れ多いくらいです。いやいや。
He's getting a chance to research brain parasites, plus being given the title of director of a new clinic as camouflage. Plus it comes with staff and funding. He'll even have support from the Defense Agency and the Ministry of Health and Welfare, as well as a research lab with a state-of-the-art equipment. No wonder he's laughing so excitedly. However, there are some risks too. Since he'll be involved with this secret research, he has an obligation to keep it a secret. Also, he's going to an area plagued by mysterious and bizarre disease. There's no guarantee he won't contract it. But Ira is too young to even think about those things. Aware of all the risk, he quickly signed the contract with the ambition to have people recognize his talent once again. When I saw him sign the contract, I finally relaxed. I knew he would agree to join us, but at the same time I was afraid of the chance that he refused. Selecting a director proved more difficult than expected. The only candidate Takano paired well with was Ira. So if Ira refused to take a position, then frankly she'd be placed in an even worse situation. Now that Ira has agreed to take the position, research in Himizawa syndrome can finally begin. The research center, or rather the clinic, will be completed next spring. The Ministry of Health and Welfare and the Defense Agency will send the best equipment and staff, plus an abundant supply of funds. Then finally our research will begin in earnest. Everything is going well. Of course it is. I've put so much effort into making sure things went smoothly up to this point.
以上です。就任おめでとうございます、入江社長殿。サンさん、宣誓書へのサイン終わりました。
ありがとう。これからよろしくお願いいたしますわ、入江所長。
こちらこそよろしくお願いします、高野さん。仲良くやりましょう。私も全身全霊をかけて頑張ります。
こちらこそお互い最善を尽くしましょう。
Now the position of director has been filled, everything is set. Okay.
それはよかったよかった。おめでとう、高野さん。 え、高野三佐でしたかな。
これもすべて先生方のお力添えがあったからこそです。高野美代、皆様に心より感謝させていただきます。
まあまあ、高野さんに本当の意味でおめでとうが言えるのは研究が成功に終わった時ですな。ようやく入り口にたどり着いたに過ぎませんよ。
おっしゃる通りです。寝る間を惜しんで研究に身を投じていく覚悟です。
高野先生が成し遂げられなかったさらにその先へ至られることを私ども一度楽しみにいたしておりますぞ。
まあまあ先生、今日はそういう堅苦しい話は抜きにしましょう。今日は高野さんのこれからと入江機関の設立を祝って乾杯と参りましょう。
乾杯の前にご挨拶申し上げます。厚生省の永田と申します。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
ああ、高野さん、彼をバシバシこき使ってやってください。彼のところの研究所は入江機関のバックアップをしてくれます。技術的に困ったことがあったらいつでも頼ってやってください。
こき使うだなんてそんな。こちらこそお世話になります。高野と申します。どうかよろしくお願いします。
高野さん、こちらも紹介しましょう。陸自から出向の富武君とお好み君です。陸自側からのバックアップをします。
Oh, okay.
ぜひご挨拶させてください。
はじめまして、富武と申します。この度のプロジェクトの監査役を仰せつかりました。どうかよろしくお願いいたします。
The funding for our research is largely coming from the SDF. It's only natural for the SDF to assign a watchdog to make sure reasonable research is taking place. However, someone in a position like that should be my opponent. Why was someone in that position invited to this private party? Does that mean this auditor is on my side too? Seeing that through our groundwork, I couldn't help but feel the strength of having a sponsor all over again.
私は直接はひなみ沢に赴きませんが、定期的にお伺いして研究の進捗管理などをさせていただくことになります。
あら、それは残念ですわね。ひなみ沢は空気も良くて自然も素晴らしいところですのよ。ぜひ仕事以外でも気軽に遊びにいらしてくださいね。
ありがとうございます。そうさせていただきます。
If he really is an auditor, I should maintain a good relationship with this man. He'll hold the key to all future adjustments of our funding so long as we continue drawing it from the SDF.
おこのぎと申します。よろしくお願いいたします。
彼は不正規船部隊の一つ山犬の隊長です。ひなみ沢に常駐し三佐を直接サポートします。
ボディーガードみたいなものと思っていいのかしら。
要人護衛、秘密保持が主な任務です。三佐の直接の手足となりますので、どうかこき使ってやってください。
よろしくお願いします。
Tomiki seems to be an honest type for the military man, but this Okonogi person looks the complete opposite. I mean, look at that face. His main job is to preserve secrets, but I bet he's also good with espionage tactics like counterintelligence and information control. Yes, I would explain his demeanor. Since the SDF is funding our research on Himizawa syndrome, of course this is considered a military operation. Therefore, this research has to be done in secret. That's why a unit like this is necessary. Besides, it's very reassuring to have someone capable of combat working under me. I should maintain a good relationship with him too.
さあさあさあ、挨拶はこれくらいにして早く乾杯に移りましょう。さあさあ、富武君も足を崩して、今日は入江機関の前途を祝して無礼講で参りましょう。
Well, this is supposed to be supposed to celebrate the establishment of the Erie Institute. Erie himself isn't here, but that is his job after all. Erie is simply a puppet to fill a seat. Of course, I expect him to help me a little with his expertise, but he's ultimately an outsider. This was supposed to be a gathering where I would show my appreciation to those who helped me establish the Erie Institute. But it's turned into them thanking me for all my efforts. I'm always the one to pour alcohol for others, but today people are pouring alcohol in my glass. The new participants were trying to make me happy, and all the top people talked to me casually. They all praised my hard work and my efforts. My research is now recognized by many institutions, and I'm ready to spread my wings open wide. And all the people who are expecting some returns once the research accomplishes something, trying to curry favor with me. But right now I'm just very grateful, regardless of their motives.
それでは入江機関の設立と高野美代君の今後ますますの発展を祈願して乾杯に移りたいと思います。先生、温度をお願いいたします。
It's like a dream. I know, this is just the beginning, and I shouldn't be satisfied with this alone. But just for today, I can forget about everything else and enjoy the celebration. I'm not a heavy drinker, but the drinks taste good tonight, and the more I drink, the happier I get. Ah, this really is wonderful. To be called Major by Tomoki and the others is wonderful too. That's the rank my grandfather had during the war. That means I finally caught up with my grandfather. This is only the beginning. From here on, I intend to reach what my grandfather couldn't. This is the best night of my life. I ended up leaving to fix my makeup. I'm filled with elation. I need to feel fresh air to calm myself down. My heart is about to explode because I'm so happy. The gathering is taking place a little distance away from the main building. The restroom is in the main building, so I need to walk across the hallway. The beautiful and well-maintained Japanese garden is visible from the hallway. It's raining. I usually don't like rain, but I don't mind it at all today. I feel like even the raindrops are congratulating me. The cool air feels present on my hot skin. It took me a moment to notice how unsteady my footsteps had become. Maybe I drank a little too much. It isn't like me to drink more than I can handle. Although this is a party, I don't want to embarrass myself, so I decided to cool off a little by looking at the beautiful Japanese garden. I found an elegant chair sat on a red carpet nearby and sat down on it. Since I was with the associates until now, I was forced to constantly be on guard against embarrassing myself. But now that I was alone, I could let go and truly relax. When I look up to the sky, I realize it's still raining hard, but in the distance the horizon is a little wider. Maybe it won't be raining for much longer. Well, that's normal. Rain stops eventually. No matter how cold it is or how hard it's raining, rain stops eventually. I saw a pair of sandals and an umbrella, almost inviting me, so I took them to the garden. The tasteless laughter coming from the party sounds far away. I tilted the umbrella and looked up to the sky. I felt the raindrops hit my face, and gazed up at the sky for a while, forgetting all about my hair getting wet. I thought the rain would cool down my boiling heart, but as my body got cold, I started to feel miserable. My bare feet were all swollen, and the throbbing pain I felt made them seem twice their normal size. Back here again. Gravel road continued forever. I didn't even know what direction I was headed in anymore. I could no longer hear my pursuer. I had probably lost him by running through the woods like mad. My body was covered in scratches. I finally started to feel the pain from that. I felt both cold and hungry. There was no place nearby to take shelter from the rain. I was just on a little path in the woods. My worst fear was that I could end up heading back towards the orphanage. After bolting and losing my sense of direction, I had crushed that man's finger. I didn't think I bit it off, but I was sure it would leave a scar. Taking that into consideration, it was very clear to me what kind of torture awaited me back at the orphanage. Therefore, I'd have to reach the House of Love and Mercy. If only it had been daytime, then I could easily have found the right way to go. However, with this rain, there was nothing I could do. But I couldn't stop. I had to keep walking until I reached something. I wondered if Eriko and the others had escaped safely. I didn't know how many people came after us, but at least one came after me. In other words, it meant that they had a better chance. Did they reach the House of Love and Mercy? Were they drying themselves with soft towels? And if they were still remembered me, would they save a towel for me too? I felt so cold. I wanted to find shelter and sit down, but there was nothing of the sort. I saw a tree that looked like I could take shelter under it, but the branches and leaves were dripping with water. It was then that I realized that the sky was gradually getting darker. Would this day end in rain? There was no street lights where I was. Soon enough it would be totally dark. Then I wouldn't be able to walk any further. I just wanted to sit down even if it was raining. But if I did sit down I probably wouldn't be able to stand up again. So I endured. If I hadn't escaped with Eriko and the others I wouldn't have to go through such misery. But compared to what I had to go through at the orphanage, this was nothing. Thinking about that was the only way to make myself move. But when I thought about that, it's true that this freezing cold rain was far better than my life at the orphanage. But that was only when compared to the life at the orphanage. Was it better than the normal lives of normal kids my age? I didn't even need to think about that. When my parents were alive, although we weren't rich, we had led a normal life. The gentle smiles and forgivable selflessness. The sound of my mother cooking breakfast in the morning. The sound of a newspaper being folded. Precious memories like that. I didn't need anything else. I had plenty of friends. I had fun at school. I didn't like my teacher, but I liked studying. I had everything I needed. That was enough for me. I never complained. I never did anything bad. So why was this happening to me? Everything went downhill after that train accident. The die of fate kept rolling a 1. The die never showed its good side to me. If the accident was my fault, then I could have accepted it. But it wasn't. I wasn't even there. I waited for my parents at home. I liked going to the mall with them. We always had a meal at the restaurant in the mall. I always told them to let me know if they were going to the mall. But on that day, they went without me while I went to my friend's house to play. My friend wasn't in, so I went back home. I didn't see anyone at home and found a note that said they were going to the mall. I regretted going to my friend's house and waited at home. They didn't come home. They were still gone by dinner time. I was getting hungry and got angry with my parents for leaving me. I thought that they were having dinner at the mall restaurant without me. If I hadn't gone to my friend's house, I would be eating dinner at this restaurant too. I loved the little flags that came with the kids' meals. I was collecting those flags. Yes, I was. I was trying to collect 20 of them, thinking that once I collected 20, something wonderful would happen. But I couldn't collect 20 of them. I only needed one more. If I had one more, maybe the accident wouldn't have happened. A very sad memory of a flag from the kids' meal. I kept waiting for my parents to come home from the mall. I was hungry, so I started to eat some dried fish. If I ate too much, my mother would find out, so I was careful not to gorge myself. Then the phone rang. I assumed it was from my parents. I answered the phone in an angry manner, but it wasn't them at all. Jeez. What happened to the house? We had rented it, so maybe someone else had already moved in. What happened to my room? What about my desk and all the flags that were in the right middle drawer? If it wasn't my house anymore, then where was I supposed to go? Even if it remained my house, my parents wouldn't be there to welcome me or protect me. Just because I didn't have my parents to protect me, the whole world became so cruel. How could anyone take me away from the house I was used to living in just because my parents were gone? Why didn't they just leave me alone? They asked me many things. They tried to confirm many things. But how could I have understood any of the forms they gave me? I was asked a yes or no question. I had no choice but to answer yes. Before I knew it, I ended up at the orphanage. It was beyond heartless. I didn't do anything wrong. I was just a little girl. I had to sign so many papers. But why this? The warm and gentle world ended suddenly without advance notice. I was thrown into the cruel and merciless world alone. Was this the real world? Did I have any allies at all? Just because my parents died and I didn't have any relatives, the world had become so sad. When is the die going to come up with a 6 instead of a 1 to make up for the continuous series of the latter? Tears were pouring down my cheeks. The salty taste further saddened and irritated me. I couldn't do anything but cry. But no matter how hard I cried or pitied myself, the cold rain wouldn't warm my body or save me. I didn't even know where I was or in which direction I should go. Eriko showed me the map to the House of Love and Mercy when we were planning our escape. But we only learned the shortest route. I was completely lost. But strangely, after I finished crying, I felt a groundless strength within myself. I once learned that tears wash away particles in the eyes, but there is a different purpose to them too. Tears also wash away what's in the heart. I clenched my fists and forced my feet to move. I headed in the direction that I believed to be correct on the gravel road. The rain was still pouring, and it was getting darker and darker. I roared at the sky amidst the rain. My sadness was turning into anger. As I looked up, I felt the raindrops hit my face. There is no God. I knew that in my heart. But such disbelief wouldn't save me. If I believed he was there, I should have been saved. No, I needed him to be there. Was he going to answer me? I heard thunder. Then I realized he was there. He was there and he was listening to me. In his eyes, everyone was supposed to be equal. And he was listening to me. I heard thunder again. He was listening. It continued.
もしこれが私に与えられた運命でこのまま私に生涯を終えろというのなら、こんな人生いらない。私を殺してよ。その雷で私を打ちつければいい。落雷で殺されてしまうという最後の不運を私に見舞えばいい。さあ試してみなさい。私の人生を無慈悲に奪ったように、その雷で無慈悲に私を打ち据えればいい。
I heard thunder again. It was loud enough to make me shiver. Normally I would just hide in the house and wait until the thunder went away, but on that day I wasn't afraid.
さあ殺せ。ただし美代子はここにいる。私のお父さんとお母さんを奪ったように、私の命をここから奪え。
The heavens replied to my provocation. The heavens took aim at me, a worldly human who dared spewing constant insolent insults at them. That was my wish. I opened my arms. He's God, so he wouldn't miss me. However, I guess even God makes mistakes sometimes. Although he's supposed to be fair, he had been unfair with me.
さあ狙え。殺せ。私を天に連れて行け。だがもし私を殺し損ねたなら、私の運命をひっくり返してみろ。
The hell? A flash from heaven. I thought I smelled something burning just before it hit. The sheer force knocked me to the ground. It was a strange experience. It was something that had just happened, but I already felt like it happened many years ago. I had no idea how long I was down for. I smelled something odd. The bad stench woke me up. When I looked, I saw that a huge tree behind me had been split open. Its leaves were smoldering. I looked up and saw sparks in the darkness. I couldn't understand what just happened. I just stood there. The thunderbolt had struck. It didn't strike me, it struck the tree behind me. I didn't get to die. He was telling me to keep walking in the woods in the cold rain. I won my bet with God. I bet my wife. I bet my wife against the lightning and thunder. It could have killed me instantly, but he missed, so he had to fix my wife. I looked up to the sky, laughing and bragging that I was still alive. I heard thunder again. It was acknowledging its loss. Come on, God. Save me. I won the bet, so save me from this misery. I stood there. I waited for God to do something while the rain poured down on me. But he didn't answer me again. I couldn't hear the thunder anymore. Again, I felt the warm tears pour down my cheeks. What was I thinking? If there was a God in heaven, he wouldn't have let anything like this happen to me. My miserable wife was the proof of God's non-existence. The darkness was about to swallow me utterly. Would I have to sleep out heat there? God must have wanted me to die slowly in this cold rain instead of granting me instant death by lightning. I wish the sun would go away. I wish the sun would never rise. I wish that as the woods had grown completely dark, my existence would be hidden by that darkness. I wish that I could just disappear. Had it been an eternity, or was it a matter of seconds? I couldn't even tell time in such darkness. It was then that I saw something. It was a light. I noticed it only because the woods were so dark. But was it really there? Had it been there this whole time? I felt like the light was inviting me towards it. It was a fluorescent light. I didn't normally like fluorescent lights because I always thought they looked cold. But I didn't feel coldness from that white light. I made myself believe that the light was a guide sent by God. I had to believe, otherwise I wouldn't be saved. The light reflected in a puddle. It wasn't a muddy puddle. It was a puddle on the asphalt. I had made it out of the woods and was on a paved road. The white was a street white. Being on a paved road didn't really resolve anything. It was just a country road. It was a road that went through the woods, so there were no houses, no shops, and not even a single car going by. There weren't too many street lights on the road, and so it was still very dark. My feet touched the asphalt. It felt so different from the gravel I'd been walking on earlier. It felt almost merciful. My feet had grown used to walking on gravel, but after feeling the softness of asphalt, I never wanted to go back to the former again. I could only choose between heading left or heading right. I was grateful to God for leading me to this asphalt road, but I wish that he had given me a little more guidance. Such a little bit of luck could make up for all the unhappiness I'd gone through. And that was when I sensed his guidance. I saw another light in the distance. It was only on the right side. I headed towards it, and when I got there, I understood what it was. I was amazed to find it there. A telephone booth. Who would actually make a call in the middle of nowhere? A telephone booth in the countryside was rather unusual. There were plenty of red public phones all over, but I always thought telephone booths only existed in big cities. It almost looked as though the telephone booth had been put there as a punishment for doing something bad. When I thought that, I felt bad for the one with telephone booth. It reminded me of myself. Even if I went inside a telephone booth, what could I even do in there anyway? I already knew the answer to that question, but no matter what, I just had to get in there. The door squeaked as I opened it. There were lots of moths and other bugs fluttering around the light. I usually hated bugs, but in that moment I felt like they were my friends, sheltering me from the rain like me. There was no heater, but it was still very warm inside of the booth. It sheltered me from the cold rain. Soon enough I crumbled to the floor. The warmth from the fluorescent light embraced me gently, and I felt like it was telling me that I was okay to cry. But I had no more tears left, because I cried them all when the lightning struck. Aching scratches covered my body. My calves were in pain too. Everything hurt everywhere, and I didn't want to get up ever again. I wish I could fall asleep, but if I did that, the staff from the orphanage might find me. The windows in the booth were high up, so if I sat down, I wouldn't be visible from the outside. But as it was the only shelter in these dark woods, the staff would be sure to check it. That was why I couldn't stay there for long. Telephone booths from back then weren't completely made out of glass, so it was possible to hide inside one. My exhausted spirit understood that I had to move, but I just couldn't make myself. Maybe I was experiencing some kind of vision. I felt a strange calmness that I never experienced before. I didn't feel that I was myself. It was very strange. I thought that maybe I was killed by that lightning. I assumed I was still Miyoko Tanashi, but maybe I wasn't her at all. I seriously considered those things. Then I started to think that the telephone booth had something to do with it. Because God led me here, there. He couldn't have done so just because it was providing me shelter from the rain. There had to be something else. I wondered what it was. Could there be something in the booth that could save me? But what? The telephone booth is used to make a phone call, but I didn't have any money. But then, I noticed something that looked like copper. My heart skipped a beat. The 10-yen coin I saw wasn't there before. Did I just miss it? I didn't think so. It must have just shown up. In other words, this 10-yen coin was guidance from God. He was telling me to make a call with that coin. But who? There's no telephone book. In that case, I could only call a number I knew. Did God want me to do that then? There was only one coin. I could only call one number. And I couldn't talk for that long. I had challenged God earlier, so it was just a matter of course to think that God was challenging me in return. I had only one chance, and he wanted me to test my luck with that chance. I left the phone booth and looked up at the sky. Then I yelled in my heart, "You're on, God!" I wondered who I could call. Who? My house? My parents were dead, and I had no relatives. Even if I called, nobody would answer. Actually, the phone bill wouldn't have been paid for a long time, so the phone line would already be disconnected. My house was my lost life itself. No, the debris of my life. Going home would simply be an expression of regret, which ran counter to the positive attitude of one trying to change their life. So surely using the coin to call my house was wrong, which meant I had to cast this 10-year coin towards my future. Future? My future? What future anyway? Then I heard a huge thunderclap which cleared my mind. Whoa, what is this music? In that clear state of mind, I saw something from the past. It was the last sight of my father. His final moments on the hospital bed, through suffering from pain, he tried to tell me something very important.
もしもな、お父さんが死んだら、高野先生を頼りなさい。高野ひふみ先生だよ。言ってみなさい。
高野ひふみ。
そうだ。高野ひふみ先生だよ。高野先生はお父さんの恩師なんだ。きっとお前を助ける。
お父さんお父さんお父さんお父さん。
Many doctors came into the room in a hurry. He wanted to tell me something else, but the doctor stopped him from talking, so it wasn't audible. It shouldn't have been, but it was to me. I heard it. I heard it, but I didn't want it to hear him say it while suffering, so I pretended I didn't hear. He said it while coughing. I heard it. There were numbers. I swallowed one. Once. That's right. It was a phone number. He knew nobody would take me in because we had no relatives. He told me to get in touch with him, Dr. Hifumi Takano. He tried to tell me his phone number. What had I done? He tried so hard, using his last chance to tell me the most important thing. The thunder from earlier had made me remember it. The number I couldn't remember even once came out so smoothly. I dialed it in. This really was it. This was the number for my father's teacher, Dr. Takano. But my hand stopped just as I tried to put the coin in. What if I hadn't remembered it correctly? No, there was no need to hesitate. I had to believe in myself. This had to be the correct number. I had to dial it before I forgot it again. I picked up the phone and put the coin in. Beep. I heard the dial tone on the other end. At that point, I decided to kill myself if it didn't work. I could go back into the woods and wait for another lightning bolt. I could lie down and let the rainwater drown me too. I could also fall asleep in the middle of the road and wait for a car to run me over. I made up my mind and put the coin in. I didn't hesitate any longer. I dialed the number at once. But I had to be careful. If you dial quickly, sometimes you can make mistakes. I was getting irritated, and that almost made the phone number go vague in my head. I dialed the last digit, and heard some electronic sounds on the other end. I hoped that I dialed the correct number. I didn't know what to say to Dr. Takano if it did connect. Where was I? What was I supposed to do? What was I supposed to ask him? I didn't know any of those things. Making a call isn't cheap. 1 10-yen coin would only buy me a short time to talk. Though I must have connected then. I heard a ringtone. I only had a short time once someone answered the phone. I thought for a moment that I should put the phone down. Then I could at least get the coin back. I could call back after sorting out my thoughts. But then someone answered.
もしもし、高野です。
I felt like I was suffocating. My memory had been correct. I couldn't tell the age of the speaker, but it was a grown man's voice. Anyone who was my father's teacher must have been quite old. Never mind that. I had to hurry and say something. Hurry, hurry.
高野先生ですか。高野ひふみ先生ですか。
ん？そうですが、どちら様ですか？
He must have been suspicious. I couldn't blame him. A stranger was asking him about his name. Of course he'd get suspicious.
ごめんなさい。私、田無って言います。田無美代子と申します。
田無さん？はい。
私の父に高野先生に電話しろって言われたんです。父は田無武光と言います。
田無ああ、田無くん。ああ。
His voice suddenly changed. Dr. Takano had remembered his own whole old student.
私、娘です。お父さんに電話しろって言われて。
田無くんに何かあったんですか？
Ah, not good. I was going to run out of time.
父さんとお母さんが事故で死んじゃって。それで高野先生に電話しろって言われたんです。
田無くんがお亡くなりに？そうですか。二人とも？それは本当にお気の毒です。田無くんは私が大学で講師をしていた時、しばらく交流があったことがあります。何事にも勤勉な良い青年でした。結婚式に呼んでもらった時にあったのが最後だったような気がします。
Obviously, he didn't know I was born. But he remembered my father. That was truly a stroke of luck.
それで、田無くんは私に何と？
I didn't know what to say. I was only told to call Dr. Takano. How could I tell him that? My time was running out. I felt more and more anxious by the minute. Phone calls are disconnected without notice, but somehow I sensed it. I only had enough time left for one sentence, so I decided not to say one sentence filled with all my hopes. The phone call got disconnected. Maybe he only heard part of what I said. I can only hope he was able to sense my despair. I couldn't hear anything from the receiver anymore. But I actually talked to Dr. Takano. I confirmed that Dr. Takano existed. He existed and he remembered my father. If he grieved over his student's death, he would come visit my house, and he would find out I was sent to an orphanage. Then he would come and get me. That's when tears flowed down my cheeks again. I thought that my life was hopeless. I never knew that finding even a grain of hope could make me feel so happy and strong. The voice I heard on the phone was so warm and dependable. My father must have thought about me for a long time in that hospital bed. He came up with a name that he could trust his daughter with, Dr. Hifumi Takano, so he could trust Dr. Takano. I had to believe that he would find me, but it might take more than just a few days. I'd have to wait patiently. A few days? A month? More? I could only wait patiently. Either way, I couldn't stay in the telephone box. The staff would easily find me there. I went out into the rain again, but this time the rain felt a little warmer than before. I had wished to die by lightning, but after that phone call, I was filled with hope and the will to live. I wanted to live, and that was why I felt pain all over my body. When I still wished to die, I didn't feel anything. I had to wait patiently until Dr. Takano came to pick me up. I had to get to the House of Love and Mercy. That would be the best place to wait for him. I didn't think the orphanage would tell him I escaped to the House of Love and Mercy. But the house wouldn't stop me from calling him. All I'd have to do was call him again and let him know where I was. But I didn't know where I could find the House of Love and Mercy. I couldn't see any signs anywhere, and I didn't even know what direction the orphanage I escaped from was in. I couldn't just stop. I had to walk. I had to find shelter. I had to find someone and ask for directions to the House of Love and Mercy. I had to keep going because I finally saw the light at the end of the tunnel. The chills and throbbing pain tormented me, but I couldn't die until I met Takano-sensei. I wished a car would come by. If it was someone who lived in the area, I could ask, but the police wouldn't do me any good. I was sure the orphanage had already called the police about our escape, and they wouldn't be forgiving. The police were sure to send me back to the orphanage. Either way, I wish that someone would show up. Otherwise, I have to keep walking on the asphalt in the darkness forever. How long did I walk? It's so interesting how you can very much draw parallels with Takano and Rika, with the whole, no, they use the whole die metaphor, and the whole trying to fight against fate. You know, the fighting against what they believe, you know, God and God's fate for them, and how they want to fight against that, and how they both lost hope, but once they got a sign of it, a little sign of it, a tiny sight of the light at the end of the tunnel, they run for it, they grab onto it, they reach for it, and do anything they can in order to reach that light. I mean, hell, you know what, honestly, that could just be part of the human experience. We all experience loss and, you know, bad times, sad times, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, sometimes, but eventually there is a little hope you see. And once you see that hope, you gotta grab onto it. You gotta reach for it. You gotta run for it. You gotta scream for it. You gotta do everything in your might in order to reach that light at the end of the tunnel. It's very human. It's the best way to describe it. It's very human. And it's very relatable, you know. I say it's very relatable. Still no car. Just as I couldn't help but think that maybe the world perished, leaving only me behind, a car showed up. I sensed a car coming up behind me, so I turned around. I saw their headlights approaching me. I thought for a moment. Should I stand in the middle of the street to stop the car? It was so dark. I didn't think the car would notice if I just waved at it. But if I were to stand in the middle of the street, I could get run over. While I thought, the car was getting closer and closer. When I made the phone call, I panicked and didn't know what to say. So with this car, I had to think very carefully. If I couldn't think of anything, then I should just let the car go. With those thoughts vaguely under my mind, I was incredibly surprised when the car swam to the brakes and with a screech and came to a stop. Maybe I wasn't all there after that miraculous experience of lightning striking near me. I had half lost my mind in those dark woods, so I probably wasn't thinking very straight. Because the car had stopped after recognizing me. In other words, the driver knew who I was. And the only people in the area who recognized me were... Suddenly a chill ran through my whole body. I started to dash away. I heard a voice calling after me. I no longer had the strength to run. My feet were trembling and I couldn't make them cooperate. I realized then that I shouldn't have sat down in the telephone booth. That was why I couldn't keep running. I was suddenly grabbed from behind, the collar of my clothes almost choking me. Her fabric being ripped. I fell in a puddle and a staff member got on top of me. This time his finger wasn't in my mouth. All I could do was struggle. All as I did so, I remembered all the scary stories Erica and the others told me. All the torture the child who was caught had to endure. The drowned ducky punishment, the mashed caterpillar punishment, and the sprayed piggy punishment.
The names of those eerie-sounding punishments came to my mind. I screamed and struggled with all my might, but it was too late. I was shoved into the back seat of the car. Why couldn't they just let me go? Simple, they didn't want me talking about them to anybody. The staff were yelling and screaming while chasing me, but once we were in the car, they went silent. It was like the Grim Reaper had come to get me. Whether I liked it or not, I had to come to terms with the fact that my luck had run out. But I had called Takano-sensei, so I knew he would come to get me. I didn't know when that would be, but I knew it would happen someday. So I wanted to live. I would be saved if I lived. I couldn't even imagine the kind of punishment that was waiting for me. But even so, I said to myself, I have to live. I'd already found the light at the end of the tunnel. All I had to do was endure until I reached it. The car stopped. We had arrived at the front gate of the orphanage. The two staff members grabbed my shoulders so I wouldn't run. My shoulders were very skinny, so it hurt a lot. I was scared of what I would have to go through. We went through the door. I was finally sheltered from the rain. In a way, I wasn't sheltered at all, though. It was the middle of the night, and long past time to turn all the lights off. The orphanage should have been quiet. But I heard a noise. It was a strange noise. The noise of a shower. The noise of metal objects crashing into each other. Also the staff's yelling and screaming. Chill went down my spine. What could I possibly write down to fully describe this fear? A staff member knocked on the door of the storage room and the door opened. The moment it did, an angry roar issued from inside. The sight leapt into my eyes. I couldn't completely take in the bizarre scene before me. Two staff members were hitting a mat with bamboo swords while yelling violently. It was a mat used in, the one you use when you do gymnastics. But why was it rolled up like that? The rolled up mat was tied with a string and was standing up in the corner. The staff members kept hitting it. Usually words are said to a person, but why were they yelling at a rolled up mat? The way they were hitting and yelling at it was as if they'd gone mad. But wait, I could see something sticking out from the top of the rolled up mat. It was... let me see. Whose shoes were those? All of a sudden I froze and couldn't think anymore. One man stood in front of me. The man's pinky finger was wrapped in bandages. My eyes moved upwards from his pinky finger and met with his. The beast's eyes met mine, peering with intent to devour me. I squeezed out a voiceless scream. My voice didn't come out, so it was more like a goldfish opening and closing its mouth. The beast stuck his little finger in front of me and roared. I couldn't tell if it was a word or a meaningless shriek, but I was certain it was something abusive. I was scared. I didn't want to die. I wanted to live. I knew that Dr. Takano would show up to save me. That was why I had to live and submit myself to the fear. I'm sorry. Ah! The hand with the bandages grabbed my hair and dragged me along. All I could do was apologize and beg for forgiveness while hoping the beast had even a tiny bit of mercy in him. I was like a broken, apologizing doll. A mad doll that kept muttering apologies until its key wound down. I was their toy, shedding tears, coughing blood, and apologizing in place of clicking gears. I could see into the shower room while he dragged me along. The door was open. I heard wailing from the inside. What I saw was very strange. There was a locker on the side of the shower. What an odd sight. A locker was taking a shower sideways. I never even imagined anything like it before. The walker was taking a cold shower while two staff members headed with bamboo swords. That explained the metallic noise I heard for Jesus Christ, are they wrapping kids in the fucking mat and hitting them with a damn bamboo sword? The beast didn't want me to see that. He pulled my hair violently and twisted my neck so I looked in the opposite direction. Then I realized he didn't do that to stop me from watching that shower. He did it to make me look at something else. I saw a window in a courtyard. Usually it was too dark to see anything, but the lights were on and the courtyard was very bright. Then I saw it. Inside of the hen house, I saw... What is that? That hair was Erika's. X. But why was she... That was far too... Ah! I'm sorry! I'm sorry! I'm sorry, I'm sorry, sorry! I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry! Ah! Don't want to die! No, Dr. Takano's coming to save me. I know he's coming. I was taking the staff bathroom. It stunk of ammonia. I saw... Which just doesn't fit in the bathroom. Why was this in the bathroom, I thought? He's not pointing to... No. No fucking way. No fucking way. No. I'm... He's not a... No, fuck. No, wait, no. Tanashi, this is your punishment for breaking the rules, okay? Everyone must follow the rules. If you don't, you get punished. Do you understand? I'm sorry. I'll never do it again. I'll do everything you tell me to do. I promise, I really do. Please spare me from... No, that hurts. No. No. Fuck. No. Don't tell me what I'm thinking is correct. That's it? No. Oh my god, no. Oh my god. I can't even say it, but no, fuck, no. Oh my god, no. Oh my god. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue. Let's go. Oh my god. How long have I been crying? I don't even know how long I've been comforted like this. My grandfather's hand is on my cheek to comfort me. I'm holding his hand lovingly and pressing my cheek against it.
落ち着いたかな？
おじいちゃん。
My grandfather put his other hand on my head. The warmth of his palms gradually calmed me down. Piles of documents were all around me. It was a mistake to sort through data while lying on a fluffy carpet. I must have fallen asleep and had a terrible dream.
うつ伏せに寝ると胸が苦しくて悪い夢を見やすいんだよ。もうこんな時間だ。美代子は部屋に帰って寝なさい。
全然平気。居眠りしちゃってたから眠気がなくなっちゃった。もうすぐで終わるの。だから終わらせちゃうね。
明日も学校がある。もう寝ないとまた先生にあくびを怒られてしまうよ。
I've been going to bed late recently. Because of that, I yawn a lot at school. My teacher must have written a note to my grandfather.
大丈夫。ちゃんと終わったら寝る。だから続きをさせて。それに、おじいちゃんも私に構ってちゃダメ。早く書斎に戻って論文の続きを書くの。
The day for him to present his findings is approaching. He's been working so hard, devoting himself to his research, but there's unfortunately a limit to what an individual can do. He needs a collaborator in order to go further with his research. He has to explain that his investigation could be the key to solving the mysteries of human behavior, make people understand just how important his work is. But this research is about a very complicated subject, so he can seek assistance from just anyone. Someone will be able to help him one day. I believe in that my grandfather earnestly continued his research. I want to help him more, but all I could do was sort through his data and tidy up his materials. I also assist him around the house so he can concentrate more on his research. He always tells me how helpful I am, but that isn't enough for me. I will study hard, get into a good college, and learn many things, so I can actually be of assistance to his research. I'm a mediocre student right now, and I don't particularly like school, but I will do it. I want to help my grandfather. If his heart were to fail and he couldn't continue his research, I wouldn't hesitate to open my chest and offer my heart up for him. If he needs lungs, I'll give him my lungs. If any of his organs fail, I'll give him mine. There's nothing strange about those feelings. They're perfectly normal ones. For if he had found me even a day later, I might not have been alive. Or even if I lived, it would either be without my body intact, or with my mind lost to me. In the words, I'm alive because my grandfather came to save me. If he hadn't rushed to find me, I wouldn't be here. So I won't hesitate to give up my life for him. Moreover, I'd be more than happy to do that. Even though I want to be with him forever, human lives are immortal. Just like how my parents died. It happens so suddenly, without any warning. I will never heal from my parents' deaths. But now that I have my grandfather, I'm not sad. However, his existence isn't eternal either. He may disappear all of a sudden for any unexpected reason. Just like my parents. That's why I wish to be part of him. That way, no matter what happens, we'll be together forever. I don't want to be alone ever again. I want to be with my grandfather forever. I want to help him forever.
わかった。じゃあこの資料の整理が終わったらちゃんと寝るんだよ。約束。
約束。
We pinky promised after that. We smiled at each other and my grandfather went back to his study. The dried up tears are making my cheeks itch. I headed to the bathroom to wash my face and brush my teeth. I looked at my face in the mirror. None of my grandfather's features are recognizable on my face. Of course they aren't. We're not related. He must have a family too, but I've never heard about them. He doesn't seem to want to talk about that subject, so I don't ever ask him about it. I don't care if he has real grandchildren or not, even if I'm not related to him. I'm a granddaughter of Ufumi Takano. I'm not just a granddaughter either. I want to be more than that. I don't want a parent and child relationship, nor a lover's relationship, nothing like that. I want something more certain that binds our souls, something that not even a tragedy can destroy. I am Miyoko Takano, Ufumi Takano's granddaughter. Maybe it should be Miro instead. Mio. That's what my grandfather sometimes calls me. I want to succeed Hifumi's spirit. Since his name comes from 1 to 3, I want us to share that 3 and be the 4th in his line. Today my name changes. I wrote that new name in the mirror. Mio Takano. What a wonderful name for the new me.
イサ殿、ご無沙汰いたしております。
高野くん、だからもう大差はなしだよ。なしなし。暮れに具合を悪くしたと聞いてから心配してたんだよ。でも元気そうで何より。
My grandfather always told me he doesn't have any friends. He used to tell me everyone died in the war. But that's not true. He has one very close friend. This is him. He's an elderly man my grandfather calls Colonel Kozomi. I don't know exactly where they met, but every time they get together, all they talk about is the military and the war. So I guess that's where they met.
ミオちゃんも大きくなったね。今身長は何センチくらいになったんだい？
この間身体検査があったけど、2センチ伸びました。
そうかそうか。育ち盛りはいいの。いっぱい食べて、いっぱい運動して、いっぱい大きくなるんだよ。いいなあ、高野くんはこんなに可愛いお孫さんに恵まれて。
Mr. Kozomi knows that my grandfather and I aren't related, but he always calls me his granddaughter. That makes me very happy, so I poured a little more black tea in this cup. After I finished serving tea, I left with a bow. I want to stay and listen to them talk, but I guess my grandfather doesn't want me to hear stories of the war, so it always makes me leave. I left before I was told to, but having to leave doesn't mean I need to go to a different room. I just headed to the other side of this huge living room instead. Although I'm not right by them, I can still sit on the sofa and listen to their conversation. And if they need something, I can come help them right away. I try to earn points that way to prove I'm useful. I sat on the sofa away from them and started reading an encyclopedia. While doing that, I tried to listen to their conversation.
それはよかった。教授たちは都合が合えば再来週の日曜日にも早速来たいって言ってくれたよ。
本当ですか？ありがとうございます、小泉さん。
いや。高野くんが書いたレポートがそれだけ興味深かったことの証左だの。かなり関心を持ってくれてね。ノーベル賞ものの研究になるかもしれないと非常に受けが良かった。
ノーベル賞だなんてそんな。いや、お言葉だけでも恐縮です。
My grandfather laughed. Since he laughed so cheerfully, something great must have happened. Mr. Kozomi must have shown the society the essay my grandfather was about to announce and gauge their reactions. Supposedly, they found it extremely interesting. That means they recognize the value of my grandfather's research. That makes me happy too.
しかし、いつも心配なのは、君自身がひなみ沢症候群に感染してしまってやしないかということだね。君が自分の首をかきむしるようなことがないよう気をつけてくれよ。
ひょっとすると私もすでに感染しているかもしれませんな。でもひなみ沢症候群は普通に生活する分には決して危険な病気ではないのです。村人たちがお社様信仰を作り出し、厳しい戒律で自らを縛った頃はかなり危険な病気だったかもしれない。でも時間とともにそれは薄まり、今ではよっぽどのことがない限り発症することはないようです。
あれだけの発症例があったのに？
ひなみ沢症候群の発症には特に精神の状態が重要なのです。普通に心穏やかに生活している分には何にも悪さをしない病気なのです。
戦争という異常な状況下で精神が追い詰められた時のみ発症する。
そうです。なに恐れることなどないのですよ。 初期の自覚症状はうつ状態に似た疑心暗鬼。それを自覚したら高野式呼吸法などにより心身のリラックスを図り、かつ9時間以上の睡眠を1週間以上とる。これで発症など未然に防げてしまうのです。実際私の指導下にあったひなみ沢出身兵士は一人も開始しませんでしたぞ。
As he talks, grandfather started demonstrating the Takano breathing method and a bizarre exercise technique. According to him, this technique relaxes the body and lets blood and lymphatic fluid flow smoothly. As a result, you relax emotionally too. But the movements involved in the technique are so weird, I had to look away because my grandfather looked so silly. That was the one thing about his research that I felt bad about. Oh, grandfather asked me to do this exercise too. Don't want to make him sad, so I do it when instructed.
ならばいいんだがね。研究対象が元で死に至ってる医学者は過去にもたくさんいる。君も気をつけての。
だが研究に準じた彼らの偉業は死後も揺るがない。研究者としては本懐でしたでしょうな。
Grandfather tells me about Hideo Noguchi often. He was born as the son of a poor farmer, but he studied hard and became a doctor. However, he was mistreated because of his background, so he left Japan. He moved to the United States. There he made many accomplishments as a researcher. He discovered a vaccine for yellow fever. Grandfather's background is somewhat similar to his, so he often said that of all researchers he admired him the most. Hideo Noguchi died in North Africa. Well, he discovered a vaccine for yellow fever. He heard it wasn't effective on yellow fever in North Africa. He went there to research it, came down with the disease and died. The researcher losing his wife for his research. Sometimes that is a test of a researcher's courage. In that sense, grandfather is very brave to visit Himizawa himself to gather information. He himself says he may already be infected, although my grandfather estimates from ancient texts that the Himizawan syndrome was only a menace centuries ago, and now it's no different from the usual bacteria that share a symbiosis with humans. Many people became ill with the disease during the war, but that was because they were in an extremely abnormal situation. In today's peaceful environment, it's almost impossible for a person to develop symptoms. He sounds very optimistic, but he never brought me with him to Himizawa, so maybe he isn't as optimistic as all that. However, since I live with him, there is a possibility that I'm already infected as well. But I'm not worried at all. That's because my grandfather has taught me that as long as I maintain myself physically and emotionally, I won't develop any symptoms. I know all about the horrible terminal symptoms of the Himizawa syndrome, but I'm not overly fearful of them. Grandfathers enjoy his conversation with Mr. Kozumi. That's understandable. Mr. Kozumi told him some people showed great interest in his report. They even want to come over on Sunday, the week after next, to meet and talk to him directly. With the rapid advance of modern medicine, unexplored frontiers are steadily dwindling. Was it possible that the Himizawa syndrome my grandfather discovered might be a new continent in the field? It will be decided in 2 weeks. It sounds like there will be more than one person coming. And it also sounds like they're all important people in the society. They're all rich and famous, yet they aren't satisfied with just that. They all want to be involved with something that's worth an international award. This is a chance to gain assistance and sponsorship at the same time.
では再来週。私も様子を見に来ます。ぜひ頑張ってください。
これもすべて小泉さんのおかげです。本当にありがとうございます。
それは無事賛同者を集められてからにしましょう。その折にはぜひ秘蔵のワインを開けて乾杯といきましょうの。
That was the last of their conversation. My grandfather kept his head bowed until Mr. Kozumi was gone. It sounded like he set up this great chance for my grandfather. So I bowed my head just like him.
聞いてたかい？ようやくチャンスが巡ってきたよ。私のレポートに関心を持ってくれる人が現れたのだ。
聞いてたよ。これでおじいちゃんの研究に協力してくれる人やお金を出してくれる人が現れるんだね。
まだそうと決まったわけじゃないさ。
Although he didn't want to admit it, he had a good feeling about it. The research he had conducted all the world was finally about to gain recognition.
再来週の日曜日なの？
忙しくなるぞ。プレゼンテーションで第一印象のすべてが決まる。資料を読みやすく作り直したり、いや、人前できちんと説明できるよう少し練習をした方がいいかもしれない。とにかく手落ちがないようにしっかりやらないとな。
資料の作り直しは大事だね。おじいちゃんの字は読みにくいから少し大きめに書いた方がいいと思う。
とにかく忙しくなるぞ。再来週か。うかうかしていたらあっという間だ。
そうだね。私もお手伝いするよ。ホルマリンの容器とかのホコリも拭き取らないとね。あと丸まった資料の反りを直さないと。絨毯の下に敷いて一晩も置いたら治るかな。
Do you think leaving them laid out under the log overnight would fix it?
やらなければならないことは山ほどだな。ミオ、手伝ってくれるかい？も
ちろん。学校休んでお手伝いする。
それはいかん。
We laughed together, thrust our fists into the air, and motivated ourselves to work hard towards the week after next. Since that day, my grandfather spent more time in the study. It's not easy to create a report that you're going to show other people. Copying machines hadn't been invented back then, so everything had to be handwritten. He knows it's somewhere, but just can't remember where he put the data he needs. As for me, I have to make sure I have enough gas cups to serve tea, so I'm counting them. Do I have enough tea leaves? Maybe I should get something to go with tea. Grandfather knows nothing about these things. There's a whole list of chores to do. Need to clean the windows so the room will be bright. What else? 2 weeks pass quickly while we busy ourselves getting things done. What a wonderful 2 weeks it is. I can finally feel that I'm actually doing something to help my grandfather with his research. I hope the day of the meeting will be a memorable one for my grandfather. I hope that day will be a beautiful and clear one. Just as I wished, the day is beautiful. Evening. My grandfather, having dressed formally, put paste around his study nervously. I'm also in a beautiful dress. I've only worn it once before at my piano recital. But I'm not nervous like my grandfather. His silly nervousness actually relaxes me. Are they here yet? Grandfather looked out the window. Then a black car stopped in front of the gate. Back then, a car was a luxury item. I don't think I even had one classmate whose family owned a car. So it only makes sense that the men coming out of the car look respectable. Grandfather and I ran out to welcome them.
ようこそおいでくださいました。高野と申します。今日は本当にようこそ。
お召し物をお預かりします。
I greeted them and filled the woe we decided ahead of time. Though my being relaxed by my grandfather's silliness ended at that point. Both my grandfather and I were stiff with anxiety as we greeted them now that the moment was here.
はじめまして先生。そしてはじめましてお嬢さん。いえ、お孫さんですかな？
孫です。ミオ、ご挨拶なさい。
はじめまして。高野美代と申します。
賢そうな子ですね。本日は小泉先生の代理で参りました。小泉先生は急な用事が入ってしまい、 本日は出席をすることができなくなってしまいました。そのことを大変残念がっておりました。
そうですか。それは残念です。
The person who set up everything isn't here. My grandfather even had his treasured wine ready, just as they promised 2 weeks ago.
皆さん、ご紹介いたします。こちらは高野一二三先生です。高野先生はかつて軍部の貿易研究所におられ、伝染病予防分野の第一人者として活躍されておりました。
He made many advances in developing synthetic food and synthetic alcohol as measures against malnutrition and ration shortages.
よろしく。
はじめまして。
お邪魔いたします。
The men are even older than my grandfather. They take off their hats one at a time to greet him. Their beards, expensive-looking canes, and glasses tell me they are very high up in the society. Grandfather bows to each one of them.
それでは皆さん、どうぞ書斎へ。誇り臭い場所で大変恐縮です。どうぞこちらへ。みよ、皆さんにお茶の準備を。
はい。
I wasn't nervous at all either earlier, but now I think I'm the most nervous one. I'm not the one making the presentation, and I'm not the one being all evaluated, so it's ridiculous that I'm feeling so nervous. I don't know if I should use that as my excuse, but I was so nervous I knocked over the thermos I had filled to the brim with hot water and ruined the black tea I'd chosen specifically for this day. I apologized to my grandfather and started to boil water again. Just needed enough for the guests. By the time I had cups of tea and cookies ready, grandfather's presentation was at its key part.
血管もしくはリンパ管を破って脊髄へ侵入し、髄液を通って脳内に至るものと思われます。また死後の解剖結果、脳炎を起こしたものを複数件確認しています。類似の症状をもたらすウイルスは過去の事例を紐解いても数種類あり、その中でも代表的なものは
Grandfather said, walking between samples and formalin jars and pointing to several as he gave his explanation. There are over 100 formalin jars in here with parts of brains in them. They were all very dusty, so I spent a few days cleaning them. I am rather proud to see the sparkling jars all lined up like this.
ただし、これらのウイルスが引き起こす症状は多岐にわたります。
On the other hand, symptoms of Himizawa syndrome are very specific to that disease.
それが喉を自らかきむしる自傷行為だとおっしゃるのですね。
さようです。これについては死亡直前を知る兵士たちの目撃情報から分かっています。この自傷行為はこれまでに知られてきたどのような病状にもありません。ひなみ沢症候群独自のものです。また末期患者にしか見られない行為であることから、これは一部の感染症に見られるのと同じエクソダスであると考えられます。感染者の体内で十分に成長し、幼虫を繁殖させた後、ウイルスは体外へ脱出し、次なる感染者を探すのです。
ではその血液にはウイルスもしくは陽性が満たされているわけであり、貿易の知識のない現地の兵士がそれに触れていたならば、彼らも感染していた可能性があるわけです。にもかかわらず、ひなみ沢出身者以外の兵士に感染例がないことをどうお考えですか？
これについては潜伏期間その他を疑ったのですが、ひなみ沢という地域だけに限定していることから考え、現地の特殊な気候、その他があると考えられます。
Yeah.
また辞書で詳しく取り上げておりますが、ひなみ沢の古い土着の信仰から考え、
ありえないですよ、高野先生。 ウイルスに社会性があるなど聞いたこともない。
いえ、ですからこれこそがひなみ沢症候群の画期的な発見の一つでありまして。
The elderly gentlemen mumbled to each other while pointing at the data. With that, I finally realized things aren't going too well.
高野先生のご考説を賜りながら先の資料を拝見させていただきました。まず申し上げて、脳内に潜伏したウイルスが人間の思想をコントロールするなど全くもってありえないことです。人間の思考は極めて高度な神の芸術ともいえる脳で作られます。また思想というものは人間の思考の中でも非常に上位のものであり、現在の地球上においては人間にのみ許された高度な能力です。それに介在するウイルスがいるなど考えられませんよ。
同感です。思想とはつまり個より全体を優先した考え方とも言えます。つまり社会性を維持する最前提条件なわけですな。それが遺伝子を残すこと以上の欲求を持たないウイルスごときに宿るわけがない。生物学的にも言ってウイルス性の微細な生命体に社会性、新社会性が発見されたことは一度たりともありません。
しかし脳内の生命体が宿主の行動に干渉するケースは非常に多く報告されており、
高野先生は一つ誤解をされていますな。ウイルスが宿主の行動を支配する原理は常に生殖繁殖のためという極めて原始的理念に基づくものだけです。
Even in the example used before of a rat infected with Toxoplasma gondii losing its aversion to cats, the altered behavior is simply a means to let their host be eaten by a better host in order to change hosts.
ハリガネムシに寄生されたバッタの受水自殺がいい例ですな。ハリガネムシは十分に成長すると水生となります。その際、宿主であるバッタを水辺へ誘導して溺死させ、その体内から水中へ脱出する。
その通りです。私はひなみ沢症候群における自殺的な喉のかきむしりもそれに当たると考えまして。
For example, guinea worms escape the body by having the host scratch the affected area.
そうです。すべてのウイルスの目的は繁殖のため。そんな存在が神の芸術ともいえる脳に潜伏し、いやいや、潜伏すること自体は別におかしいことではない。寄生し、人間の思想に影響を及ぼすなんて、はっきり申し上げて妄言です。いや、危険思想と言ってもいい。
ひなみ沢という村が閉鎖的文化から独自の信仰を生み出したこと自体はそう不思議には思いません。日本各地に散見するよくあるケースです。だとしたら日本中のそれらの文化は全てウイルスによるものなのですか？それらは文化的なものであってひなみ沢の件に限ってはウイルスによるもの。その区別をどう立証されたのですか？
いえ。ですから現地で死亡したひなみ沢出身兵士の解剖の結果からそうだと信じるに足る様々な。
失礼だが高野先生、信じるに足る臨床データだと語るには少々先生の収集されたケースは少なすぎます。しかもご自身で言われたように戦場という異常な状況下の話です。
いえ、ですから次の章で説明しますように、ひなみ沢症候群は疑心暗鬼と緊張、ストレスなどによる微妙なバランスが崩壊した時に
喉をかきむしるという特徴的かつ異常な自傷行為が複数件あったならば、 何かの共通性があるに違いないと疑われるのもユニークかとは思います。ですが、だからこそ当てにならないのです。戦地という異常な状況下でたまたまレアなケースが重なっただけのことなんです。高野先生は重なった偶然を見てゲシュタルト的な構成主義にとらわれ、法則性を見つけたように錯覚してしまったのではないかと考えます。
そうでないことを証明するには、南沢症候群の感染者に対する膨大な臨床データが必要です。ですが、倫理的に考えてこりゃ立証は不可能でしょう。
出身者がたたりだと了解する行為はどちらかというと文化依存症候群の範疇です。それに対しウイルスによる意識支配を重ねられることは、失礼だが高野先生はユニークな南沢の信仰に心酔し、その結果ご自身が文化依存症候群に取り込まれてしまっているのではないかと考えます。いえいえ、神秘的分野を研究する人間にはよくあり得ることですよ。我々も日々気をつけています。
The more they talk, the paler my grandfather's face becomes. I was just stunned myself. We've never heard of parasites like that. That's impossible. It was just a coincidence and there isn't enough data. The talk goes on, and every time grandfather says something, they dismiss it like that. Before he knew it, my grandfather could only hold his silence before the criticisms.
ただ、どんな発見も最初は理解されないものです。高野先生の研究もそのうちの一つでないかと考えます。当時どんなにバカバカしいと思われていた研究でも、その後真実が解き明かされ、
私は皆さんに比べれば素人です。個人の研究家に過ぎず、一流大の出でもなければ学閥にも属していません。もちろん権威や研究所へのコネクションもありません。故に個人の研究ではこの程度のことまでしか調べられないのです。果たして南沢症候群が真実なのか、それとも皆さんがおっしゃられるように私の妄想に過ぎないのか、それを確かめるためにお力添えをいただくことはできませんでしょうか。
もちろんこれが世紀の大発見になるならば一大センセーションを巻き起こすでしょう。何しろ人間の文化や思想は全てナノ単位の脳内生命体の意志によるもので、前頭葉は彼らを住まわせるだけの場所に過ぎないという。
南沢症候群が存在し、その感染者が感染によってそのお社様信仰というものに組み込まれることがもし立証できたなら、地球上に存在する全ての宗教、いや文化国境さえもウイルスで説明できるかもしれないんですからな。
その話の壮大さはとてもユニークです。高野先生は我々のような人間にひっそりと論文を読ませるより、それで本を書かれて一般大衆に発表された方がよろしいでしょうな。
Grandfather looks at the ground, his fists trembling a little. But the words were far too cool. I don't know anything about academics. I'm just a little girl. I don't know exactly what they're talking about, but Grandfather worked so hard by himself until today. But to prove his research and delve further into it, he needs sponsors. Yet those sponsors are casting him away, calling his research a delusion. That's outrageous. Like asking which came first, the chicken or the egg. Besides, if his research was at the level those cheeky men want to see, he wouldn't need their help. But they're saying that they can't help him unless they see some results that are beyond the level of private research. In any field, doesn't research always start off with just a little idea? If If you can't prove its existence beforehand, then what's the point of researching it to begin with? If a wild idea can't be the subject of research, how did we gain any knowledge at all? But never mind that. When Mr. Kazumi came 2 weeks ago, didn't he say they were really interested in his research? What's going on? This is the complete opposite of what he said.
Back to the present. Or sort of present.
非常に興味深い研究だと思っております。
Maybe not.
脳はまだまだ未知の領域です。
この高野氏の論文は非常にユニークです。特に優生学的見地からは無視できないものが感じられます。
人は神の子などでは断じてない。人も進化の洗礼を受けた動物に過ぎません。ならばダーウィンに従い、各地の環境に応じて進化には差が出てくる。つまり人類にはすでに優劣があるのです。国家としていかに優秀な血統を守り、より良い遺伝子を未来に残せるか、これを国策として掲げ研究せねば、来世紀において人類は致命的な序列を与えられることになるでしょう。
高野氏の研究は単なる感染症の域を超えるだけのポテンシャルを秘めていると言えるでしょうな。
次世代に残すべきでない劣悪な人間が、もし遺伝子によるものでなく感染症によるものであると解明できたなら、外科的手段によって構成が可能だということになる。結果、我が国は未来に素晴らしい人間を残すことができるでしょう。優生学的見地から高野氏の研究は早急に取り組まれるべきです。
これは世紀の大発見になる可能性がありますぞ。
Yep.
もし感染症疾患と個人の資質の因果関係が立証できれば、ノーベル賞どころでは済まんでしょうな。
小泉先生、この度の貴重な機会に深く感謝いたします。
高野くんは昔から一途で熱心な男での。だが人付き合いが下手くそでな。ずっと一人で研究してきたのだ。だが一人でできる限界を迎え、ようやく人に助けを求めることを覚えたんだな。どうか先生方、高野くんの話に耳を傾けてやってください。
恐れ多いですよ先生。むしろこの度のご縁にこちらが感謝したいくらいです。
私どもとしてはもう協力させていただくことは前提です。むしろ学会での縄張り調整の方が今後の急務ですな。
このようなユニークな研究を世界に先駆けて研究できるとは。この年になってこのような貴重な幸運に恵まれたのを感謝したいです。
There was a knock on the door. The sliding door opened, and the owner peeked in.
失礼いたします。お客様がお見えになっておりますが、お通ししてよろしいでしょうか。
客？はて、どちら様ですかの？
The owner whispered into Kazumi's ear, and his face turned pale all of a sudden.
お通ししてください。いや、私もお迎えに上がります。
As Kazumi stood up, two pairs of footsteps reached the door.
先生、このようなところへお越しいただけるとは。
小泉君、ご無沙汰だな。今日はちとどうしても君にしておきたい話があってな。
このようなところへお越しいただけるとは。はい、体温ある先生の話とあっては聞かぬわけには参りません。何でもおっしゃってください。
The old man known as Kazumi was not someone whose status could be taken lightly. Although he had retired, he was still powerful enough to wield great influence as a fixer. So from his meek attitude, it was easy to figure out what kind of person this man must be. The old man held onto his bodyguard's shoulder as he walked. He had an expensive-looking cane in his other hand. He couldn't even walk on his own because of his old age, but his intense, commanding presence hadn't declined one bit.
単刀直入に言う。君の友人の研究な。あれ、やめさせなさい。
はと申しますと。
小泉君、ひなみ沢症候群は墓場まで持ってかなきゃならん。あれに手をつけちゃならねえんだ。あれを調べるとな、藪をつついて蛇を出すかもしれん。しかも太くてでかい蛇をな。君がこのままガブリとやられるのを黙って見とるには忍びないのでな。ちょいと君の小耳に入れてやろうと思って今日は来たんだ。連れの先生方にはお待ちいただいて。どうだ、ちょいと向こうの部屋でわしと飲まんか。
はい、お供させていただきます。
Kazumi realized that he was being pressured. He didn't know which direction it was coming from, but clearly some authorities weren't comfortable with the research on Himizawa syndrome and trying to stop him from supporting it.
小泉君、分かっているかね？この研究はパンドラの箱だということを。
And this is when the research stopped.
全くの世まい事ですな。本日私どもがお邪魔したのは、資料になかったそれ以上の客観的何かが開示されるかもしれないことを期待したからです。本来ならば本日お邪魔するにも値しない内容だったのを、小泉先生たっての願いということで義理を尽くさせていただいたまでです。
徒労ではありましたが、来て正解でした。あなたに適切なアドバイスをすることができるのですから。あなたは余生をこんなことに費やされるくらいなら、盆栽でも始めなさい。いいですぞ、盆栽は。
同感です。こんな書斎にホルマリンの瓶を並べていても不健康なだけですな。
しかし実にユニークな内容でした。あなたさえ良ければ出版社の社長を紹介しますよ。大衆にはこのくらいの刺激があった方がウケるでしょうからな。
They aren't even trying to hide their hostility. They're laughing at my grandfather, denouncing him, and saying things to degrade not only his research but his personality as well. If they are simply trying to provoke him, any response would just be giving them what they want. Even in this very moment, grandfather tried to remain a noble researcher and a proud human being. He's no longer trembling. On the contrary, he apologized to them for taking up their time. He told them he had no intention of keeping them any longer.
この論文はお返ししますよ。もっともこれを論文と呼んでいいなら、学会もどれだけ気楽なことか。
One of the elderly gentlemen tossed it back to him. Grandfather couldn't catch it in time. The article he worked so hard on fell onto the floor, and papers scattered all over on the carpet. The elderly gentleman left the study without even apologizing for it. Everyone else followed suit. As they left, they trod all over my grandfather's article. It looked like grandfather's expression didn't change, but I could see it warping. I could see the wall of research grandfather bore, crunching and warping sadly. I jumped. I grabbed onto the elderly gentleman's leg. I don't hate him. If I were asked if I hated him or not, the answer would be yes, but that's not the point here. What I really can't stand is his foot stepping all over my grandfather's article. I just want to move the foot that's standing on his papers. But the foot doesn't move no matter how hard I push or pull, as if it's rooted to the floor. I felt someone grabbing me from behind. It was my grandfather.
孫が失礼をいたしました。さあどうぞこのままで結構ですので。後片付けは私どもの方でしますので。
My screams don't mean a thing to them. They completely ignored my screams. They continued to step on the papers and left the study. Only my grandfather and I remained in there now. My grandfather is still grabbing the back of my collar. I don't have any words what to say, only cries. My grandfather is determined not to show any emotion. He doesn't even open his mouth. So I have to cry for him. But just then, my grandfather slapped me in the face. That startled me. I'm crying for him, so why did he slap me? Then I understand. Grandfather's the one who wants to cry, but he's enduring, so I shouldn't cry either. I wiped my eyes and my running nose, then I suddenly turned my eyes to the papers on the carpet, just like my grandfather. I don't understand why he's apologizing. I thought I was going to complain about their rudeness.
もっと私がしっかり研究できていればこんなことにはならなかったのに。せっかく今日までミオがあれだけお手伝いをしてくれたのに、それを無駄にしてしまってごめんな。
How courageous he is. Even after that disaster, he's still concerned about me. I shook my head and put my hands on the floor. I tried to gather up the papers, but then they began to fall. My tears were overflowing again, blurring the ink on the papers. These are all handwritten by grandfather. He was so happy that finally there was someone who understood his research. He was so happy he spent all night writing these. But they stepped on them. They might as well have stepped on my grandfather's very soul.
私の研究がまだまだ足りなかったんだ。もっともっと研究を重ねていたならこんなことにはならなかったんだ。ごめんな。本当にごめんな。おじいちゃんはもっともっと研究を重ねるからな。
God, I don't know why, but this is actually very much getting to me. Shit.
これくらいのことじゃくじけないからな。
I don't know if he's saying that to me or to himself.
大丈夫。神様は見ておられる。そして自分が評価されることを疑ってはならんのだ。いつか必ずきっと評価されるから。その日まで努力を怠ってはならんのだ。
Grandfather says that all the time. But I know the truth. God only plays with people's fate. He doesn't save anyone out of goodwill. That's why he let this happen to my grandfather, even though he's worked so hard and so humbly until today. That's why he left such a horrible thing happen to me when I was still an innocent little girl. Grandfather keeps repeating himself, but I know the truth. God exists. The existence grandfather believes in is real, but there's no mercy to be found in God. He delivers unreasonable fate and makes us call it a challenge. I can't tell my grandfather that, of course. I asked God once more, like I did on the day of the thunderstorm. Why? Why can't you give my grandfather's effort and hard work the recognition it deserves? Grandfather told me that he'll gather up the papers so I should put away the teacups. I nodded silently and put the teacups that hadn't even been touched onto the serving cart. As I push it out of the study, Grandfather told me. He told me to close the door after I leave. I always close the door when I leave. He doesn't need to remind me, but that's what he wants, so without saying anything, I closed the door. Then as I walked away from the study, I heard my grandfather sobbing. Tears filled my eyes once more. Sadness and disappointment. I almost feel angry with myself for not being able to do anything for him. Then I felt a cool breeze on my wrecked cheeks. The breeze was blowing in from a cracked open window. The curtain was flapping gently in that breeze. I heard the cry of the Higurashi. As I listened to them, I calmed down gradually. If I can erase grandfather's pain by crying, I'll cry in his place. But that won't help. On the contrary, he started to cry because I did. I'm being useless here. I remembered that day. I remembered the reason why I'm alive now. If he hadn't come and saved me, I would have spent the last days of my life lying in the corner of the bathroom as a human-shaped piece of meat. Oh, Jesus. Grandfather saved me. Oh, God. He gave me back my rights. The right to walk, the right to stand up, the right to wear clothes, the right to eat, the right to speak, and the right to think. In other words, the right to live as a human being. Grandfather took action right after he got the phone call from me. He found my house, and he found out which orphanage I was sent to. After struggling through the swappily filled records of the public office, then he saved me. Of course, he was working on his research then. He spent his precious research time on saving me, a perfect stranger. I vowed that if his heart failed, I'd whip out my heart and give it to him. But of course, his heart is fine. So he doesn't need a heart. He needs something else that's equally important. That's something only I can give him in this whole world. I clenched my fists and held them so tightly that my nails left marks. I now know what I'm supposed to do with this new life as Mio Takano. I finally know. I know the reason why the new me was born. I know the purpose of Mio Takano.
それは小さな胸に宿る大きな決意。人の命がもしも地球より重いなら、私の小さな決意は地球よりも重い。
I thought I knew of my grandfather's greatness, but I actually didn't know the half of it. For me to be able to really help him, I have to reach his level. All my lessons led back to my grandfather. There wasn't a single subject I could ignore. Right now, studying hard is what I can do for him.
教師生活をして長いが、君ほどたゆみなく勉学に勤しんできた生徒は見たことがない。かといって決して勉強のみに視野が狭くなることなく、社交性も身につけ、多くの友人を作った。
勤勉なのは勉強することでしか至れない私の目標があるからです。社交性をおろそかにしないのは孤独な天才があまりに無力であることを知っているからです。
That's not enough.
私はまだまだ自分の望む姿に至れていないんです。大学に入るのなんて私にとっては単なる経過に過ぎない。そこで何が学べるかなんです。
I'm not even close. I'm not even close to being able to help my grandfather.
先生は君を教え子に持てたことを誇りに思う。私立大でも国立大の医学部でも好きに選びなさい。今の君にとって倍率など何の意味もない。君にとって学ぶに値する学校であるかどうかだけが大事だ。
願いを成就し望む未来を紡ぐ力。紡がれる糸の強さは意志の強さ。気高く強き願いは必ず現実となる。
Do I have what I need to be able to truly understand Himizawa syndrome and help grandfather in his research? I don't need compromise or excuses. The heights I seek are lofty and perceptuous. This isn't enough, not even close. My classmates are such idiots, acting as if they're winners in life just because they entered this school. College is simply a place to learn what I need to know. If the self-proclaimed best school isn't worth my time, I'm not interested.
まさか才女のあなたが伝染病圏に来られるとは思いませんでした。あなたほどの方なら引っ張りだこだったでしょうに。てっきりもっと見栄えのいい研究に関心を寄せられると思っていました。
私が学びたいこと、研究したいことが伝染病だからです。私は今日ここで学べる資格を得るために勉学に勤しんできました。
そんなことはありませんよ。入学試験を第1位で突破したあなたを拒むはずもありません。ようこそ伝染病圏へ。嫌われがちな学問でね、研究者はまだまだ少ない。だから他の学問に比べて未知の分野が多いのです。
That's quite true. The study of parasites is a mysterious world. Or rather, it's an ignorant one. An ignorant world where the preconception that parasites can't possibly control humans pervades. And those ignorant people laugh at grandfather and stepped all over his article.
伝染病の世界にまだまだ解き明かされていない未知があります。私はそれを解くために、それを解こうとする人の力になるためにここまでやってきたのです。実現の約束された願いはもはや願いとは呼ばない。それはつまりもはや運命。私が紡ぐのは運命。運命は個人だけじゃなく人を、世界を支配する絶対の力。
Warning isn't enough for me. I have to be able to research with my grandfather, so I don't ignore the means to gain the help my grandfather could get. My grandfather's research isn't complete just when it's finished being written on the desk. I need the help of plenty of people to present it to the world, so his great work will be praised by many.
そうです。当会は大学院の首席卒業生のみに入会資格を与えている同窓会組織です。毎年7人の入会者のみしか認めておりませんので、一般的な同窓会組織と比べると小規模ですが、その結束は比べようがありません。
そのような会へお誘いいただき、とても光栄です。私ごときでよろしければ、ぜひ末席を賜れればと思います。
いえいえ、あなたほどの実績と経歴をお持ちの方を末席など、とんでも先輩方もあなたを歓迎されるでしょう。会の名簿には現役大臣、高級官僚、大企業の社長や顧問などが名を連ねています。彼らはあなたを必要とし、あなたが必要とする協力を与えるでしょう。
小泉先生もこの会におられたのですね。私の祖父の親友だった方です。まさかここでまたご縁があるとは。
そうでしたか。きっと小泉先生もあなたの入会を歓迎されることでしょう。
An isolated genius is a useless one. People live in society. Society is made up of connections between people. Nobody can ignore that. I do my best as an individual, but to gain the power that can't be achieved as a mere individual, I have to rely on my connections in society. It's all for one purpose. My only wish as Mio Takano. Yes, I can't spare any effort.
私の絶対の意志が絶対の未来を紡ぎ出す。誰にも邪魔できない。誰にも覆せない。サイコロの1なんて認めない。けなげな努力が偶然の事故だけで打ち消されるなんて認めない。すべてのサイコロを6にしてやる。サイコロを神になんか委ねない。不運になんか委ねない。神に祈るのは自らに努力を尽くさぬ愚か者のすることだ。私は神などに委ねない。すべての結果は私が紡ぎ出す。私の強固な意志が神にさえ介在できない絶対の未来を作り出す。それは 祖父が教えてくれた神になる方法とは違う。それは生きながらにして神に至る方法。それに気づいた時、私はようやく解放される。それは両親を失った時の悲しい記憶、その後の辛い生活、そして論文を踏みにじられた時に見せた祖父の涙。そう、私は神の域を超えるのだ。神の気まぐれなどに負けない存在に。祖父の研究を認めさせてやる。それは私が望む未来、約束された未来。人々、祖父の論文を奪い合って読み合う。かつてないがしろにされ、踏みにじられたその論文をうやうやしく手に取って読むのだ。たとえその日を待たずに祖父に死が訪れたとしても、その程度の運命に私が泣くことなどないのだ。だって祖父はすでに私に教えてくれている。たとえ死んで土中に埋められた身であっても復活できることを。私が祖父の偉業を完成させ、世界中が祖父を称える。その時、祖父は復活を遂げ、神となり永遠となる。それは永遠の絆。どんな交通事故でもちぎれない。神がいくらサイコロの1を並べようとも、両親を事故で失った日から私の人生は全てサイコロの1だった。でも私はそれに負けずここまでやってきた。サイコロの目など私は超越する。サイコロの目は私が決める。運命すらも私が決める。くじけぬ絶対の意志で。
Himizawa. Holy shit.
診療所はいつ開くんかいね。
I need to say something. That was... God damn it. Ryuku07 does it again. He's made me care about goddamn Taka. How the fuck is he able to... That... Alright. You know you're a great writer. When you're able to showcase a character doing something objectively evil. Just pure fucking evil. Then the next time you make... It makes the viewer care for them. Because... I just need to say something before we continue on with however long this chapter is. I can't believe how much Hifumi's like article being like discredited and like trash actually got to me. I'm actually very surprised at that. Because it sucks when you don't have your work recognized. When you work so hard on it. When you have so much passion for this thing you work on, be it a research paper, be it a painting, be it a movie, a project, whatever it is. It's hard when you finally finish it that you don't get the recognition you want. It's hard. It's you know, it breaks people, you know, of like, I work so hard on this, yet nobody can you know, looks at it. And it's a very funny thing. It's very funny how I've been working on this channel for what, 2 years, 3 years by this point. Actually, technically 4 years, because Half-Life 2. And, you know, for a while, you know, it was like, people, you know, watched my stuff and all that, but, you know, I always wanted, more because that's human desire, And then came this game. This fucking game that finally gave me recognition. That probably sounds so fucking selfish. I know, but I'm not trying to be. I'm just. It's so interesting how it's this particular game, that talks about like fate, that talks about, well, I guess particularly in this chapter, recognition, but the huge theme is fighting against fate, fighting for a future you want, a future that you want, that can't be decided by, external forces, a future that's forged by your own will and passion. That it's this game that made my channel kind of explode. Isn't that something? Because YouTube is my passion. I love making videos. I do. It's so funny to me that it's this game that does it. A game about fighting fate. About going off the beaten path. Fighting against status quo. Fighting against old misconceptions. By changing the present in order to create a better future. I'm probably just like, changing the damn, like, twisting the themes in order to be in my favor, of like make me look, better, because that's what that's what humans do and all that. But I'm not trying to be like, I really don't want to come off as selfish or anything like that. But it's just, it's so crazy to me that it's this game. It's this game. Not any other game. A game about fighting fate and changing things for the better by forging your own future. I think that's, I mean, this is, it's a huge coincidence, but at the same time, it's fucking crazy. It's really insane. It's crazy. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
クーラーがついてるとええの。来月にゃ診療開始って書いてあった。つったら若い先生だとええの。
Heard some old ladies talking amongst themselves when I was going up the stairs to the shrine. The area clinic is already completed and is waiting and ready for opening day. The state-of-the-art equipment has been delivered. The research is waiting to begin as well. Ira, too, is standing by in top form, and he's almost as passionate as I am about Himizawa syndrome. The bound dogs, the counterintelligence unit to support and protect our research, are already stationed at a dummy company somewhere near Okayama. They're getting in touch with various public institutions. Everything is going well. The only thing to worry about would be the rumors about the Himizawa Dam construction plans. There's a rumor that the Ministry of Construction is pushing through a dam project that will submerge all of Himizawa, but they're under pressure from several groups. None of my contacts have much influence in the Ministry of Construction, so things aren't going well. Even applying pressure doesn't work. There are other measures, so either way it'll come to a deadlock. I'm not being optimistic. I just know that's how it'll end. I will conduct research here in Himizawa. I'm going to accomplish that with my absolute will. That's why even if God rolls a 1 on the die and says that he's going to submerge Himizawa, I will not be afraid. I won't entrust my die to God. I'm the one who's going to pick up the die, and I'm going to roll a 6. I didn't come to the shrine to declare war on the god of this place. I came because I know that you can get a great view from up here. I walked by the shrine and headed to the spot I found last time I visited. It's a perfect spot for overlooking the entire village. The strong wind reminds me that I'm only at the starting line, and that there will be a headwind before I would reach my goal. I looked over the village without faltering in the wind. Grandfather approached the syndrome from a medical point of view, but he also approached it from a folkloric one as well. The strange belief system in this village is proof that the existence of Himizawa syndrome was already known of even in ancient times. So it will be extremely useful to research their history too. My grandfather had been doing research for hundreds of years, of course. But this place has been here for hundreds of years, and they've been living with Himizawa syndrome for that long. Therefore, the beliefs created in this place and the legend itself can be considered the foremost researchers. It's simply stupid to just call them old folk tales or nonsense. I've been researching them slowly, but they are indeed very interesting. No wonder Grandfather was intrigued by them. Himizawa syndrome has many fascinating sides to it. It's just like a kaleidoscope, showing infinite light with ever a slight change in angle. It's so much fun to trace Grandfather's research. Finding the same results as my grandfather reminds me that I am indeed following in his footsteps, which makes me very happy. The shrine is dedicated to Oshiro-sama, the guardian deity of the village. But this god the villagers worship is simply a delusion that was created by the parasites. When I solve their secret and announce it to the world, the god of this place will be no more. That's the moment I will take revenge on the one who put me through misery and tested my fate. That's it, isn't it? This isn't just about making my grandfather's dreams come true. It's also about getting revenge for my miserable life. I went back to the front of the shrine. There's an offertory box there, and I'm tempted to throw in some coins. But you normally offer coins to ask for mercy. I don't entrust my fate to God, so I don't need to give an offering. I'm going to unmask him. But until then, Oshiro-sama is a god. Okay, in that case, I'll show respect for now. As a declaration of war, I pulled out a 10-yen coin from my wallet. The 10-yen coin I found in the telephone booth changed my life. If it hadn't been there, my life would have ended then.
あの一枚の10円玉に関してだけはあなたに感謝するわ。
I'm not grateful to the god of this shrine, though.
でもね、あの程度で私はあなたを許したつもりなんてない。そして私はあなたのご利益なんか期待せず、自分の努力だけでここまでやってきた。今後あなたがどんな理不尽な運命を与えようとも、そんなものにはびくともしない絶対的に強固な意志の力で、私の理想を勝ち取ってみせる。
My grandfather will be praised and become a god because of the research I'll do in this place. I will defeat the god of this village and become an existence above even gods.
いつから私は神という言葉にこだわるようになったのかしらね。祖父がいつも神様を引用した話ばかりするからかしら。
Here, this is the 10-yen coin you gave me before. My debt's paid off now. You just keep clinging to your throne and tormenting people with your trials, while I fight my battles to knock you down from there. And so I chucked the 10 yen I once borrowed from God into the offertory box. For a moment I couldn't understand what happened. The 10-yen coin was supposed to fall into the offering box. But how can I explain this? That's not what happened. I aimed correctly for certain. Who can miss an offertory box anyway? That's not it. Because the 10-yen coin stopped in mid-air, as if it got stuck in a spider web. What? Then it bounced back to me and fell by my feet. It was as though the offertory box had refused the coin. Of course, an offertory box is to respect God. But what I did was challenge him. That means this is... I jumped, because I thought I was the only one here. Anyone would jump when finding there's someone else standing there unexpectedly. What the fuck? What? Huh? How long had she been there? It's like she came out from the shrine. A mysterious girl is standing on the other side of the offering box. She's wearing a shrine maiden uniform, so she must be one of the caretakers here. That's what I thought too. But there's something else about her. She's not just one of the shrine caretakers. She is the shrine itself. Because the girl's staring into my eyes. No, she's glaring. I smiled back fearlessly. I think she heard my words of challenge to God. She's wearing that expression on her face because of that. The words came out naturally. The girl didn't nod, but I took that as a yes. What a contradictory feeling. I'm rejecting the god of this land, denying its very existence. Yet I don't doubt this girl is that god. The girl opened her mouth to speak. That's what I say to myself often. I've never said that to anyone or quoted it from anything. So under normal circumstances I should be surprised to hear this girl say that. But this girl isn't human, so I'm not surprised. I replied to her. Spiteful laughter flowed out of my mouth, but the girl's face displayed a strong will of her own. Her expression didn't even change a bit. Oh.
運命を強固にする。鋼のように鍛えられた運命はいかなるサイコロの目にも動じない。それはすなわち絶対の未来。
それを幾百年を生きる僕たちでなく、人の身であるあなたが知るとは認めますです。あなたは限りなく神に近い場所にいる。
それは光栄。
The girl glared at me with her eyes half shut. Now it was more like she was proclaiming something to me, while displaying her own strong willpower.
僕はあなたに負けない。かつて僕たちはどう戦ってもあなたに勝てないと思った。だから僕はあなたに屈した。地に落ち、輪廻の中を這いずりながらみすぼらしく生きた。でもあの子は気づきましたのです。信じる力が運命を切り開く奇跡を起こすと。
私の強い意志が作り出す運命、あなたの強い意志がそれを打ち破る奇跡を起こすというわけ。道理ね。
Because that's the wall of this world. A strong will can make a desired future possible.
僕たちはあなたの意志の強さに負けないのです。
古き神の座に執着するのも大いに結構。あなたの意志が私の意志に勝てるか試してみなさいな。神は人を試すが、人が神を試してはならない不条理。だからあえてあなたを試してあげるわ。お前の意志の強さ、私の意志の強さに勝てるかどうかを試してごらんなさい。
That's clearly a declaration of war from me to God. This is the beginning of my revenge towards God, who put me through so much misery. And this girl, this God, is accepting my challenge directly.
僕はあなたに比べてあまりに非力だけれども、
Holy shit.
あなたに比べてあまりにできることが少ないけれど、たとえ僕の意志の強さがあなたに及んだとしても、それぐらいでは覆せないくらいに圧倒的な力の差ではあるけれども。
そうね、私は圧倒的な力を得た。その力を得るために今日までどれほどの強い意志を持ち初心を貫徹してきたか。貴様ごとき小娘では私に指一本触れることもかなわないでしょうね。
分かってる。あなたの強大さは分かってる。それに比べて私や私の仲間たちの力はあまりでも、私は諦めないことを選ぶことができる。三途の河原で永遠に石を積み続けるよう、あなたのサイコロに1が並び、私のサイコロに6が並ぶその日まで決して負けを認めず諦めない。気が遠くなるほどの長い時間、あなたに屈しないことで意志の強さを示してみせよう。そして河原に石が積み上がった時、私たちはその川を越えることができ、あなたの前に対等な存在として現れるでしょう。その時こそこの長きにわたる運命の戦いに決着がつく。
ならば結構かかっておいでなさい。どちらの思いが強いか。強かった方が未来を作る。強かった方の望んだ未来が訪れる。私は私の未来を一歩も譲らない。その未来では祖父の偉業は称えられ神となり、かつて私を不幸にて試すような真似をした神に対して復讐をする。
Stupid little god, I'll show you.
貴様、
Holy shit! Oh my god! Oh my god! Fuck yeah! Holy shit! Oh, motherfucker! Oh, it's the fucking title screen! Oh, fuck yeah! I'm fucking hyped! Holy shit! Oh my god! Oh my god! Holy shit! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! That was fucking great! Holy shit! Oh my god, I'm fucking, oh my god, my blood is pumping. The reason why we learned of Takano's backstory is because we had to learn what she is fighting for, what her will is. Challenging a god. Finish the prologue? Fucking damn. Anyway. Reason why she has such a strong willpower and the reasons why she does the things she's done because she wants revenge on God. And so now, like with every other conflict in human history, it's about whose will is stronger, whose conviction can outweigh the other, and whoever comes out on top is the one that creates the future. That is fucking brilliant. That's fucking brilliant, dude. Holy shit, that's brilliant. Oh my god, that was fucking just epic. That was fucking epic. Alright? There's no other word for it. That was epic. Holy shit. I want to fucking play the next chapter so goddamn bad, but I won't. Alright? God damn, that was fucking great. Holy shit. Holy shit. It's all about willpower. It's all about fucking wills, dude. God, that was fucking fantastic. That was fucking fantastic. Holy shit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Holy shit. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this awesome episode, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, hit the like button. Want to tell me something? Put it down comments below. Want to check out Discord server on it, my Twitter, check the description below. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. See ya!